And we're live. Welcome everyone to your Vibrant Health Secrets. It's a delight to be with everyone here today. It truly is, because I think that I kind of have a twin soul sister from, I don't know, another lifetime. She has been doing the type of work that is really involved in getting people healthy. She's an incredible information source herself, but she's also a curator of other people's information. So she's really an amazing person who shares the same dedication and the same knowledge that I have, that we have the right and nature intended for us to experience optimal health. So we've had a few little technical difficulties, so you'll notice that her lower third isn't as polished as we'd like, but we're there to just get it in. It's do whatever it takes to get this information to you, because this is the important thing, you having this information. So without further ado, I would like to ask Dr. Robyn Benson. Robyn, what gives you the right to be here, and why should people listen to you?
What a great question, Alison. First of all, it's great to be here with you. Gosh, we've been connecting through email over the last year or so, and I love seeing what you're doing. And here we are live together with our audience. I just want to thank all of you for being here for this very important message. And why do I think I am, I can easily say that for 22 years, I have literally treated over 80,000 people here in Santa Fe, New Mexico, plus I've been to 70 countries. And believe me, I have been around the block. I've treated just about everything you can imagine, all walks of life, people from all backgrounds, from infants to people well into their early 100s. And I have to say that I've been on this personal quest myself to really help to get the real jewels, like to get to unlock the secrets to what makes our bodies thrive. And that has a lot to do with my message today. That, again, like I said, I've been around the world. I've studied with indigenous people, and my greatest aha really happened in 2008 in terms of this quest. And it was really understanding that our bodies, on a cellular level, we're as healthy as our 70 trillion cells or more, that what is most important, of course we need oxygen, but we need the healthy frequencies of the earth. We can't see it, smell it, or taste it in many cases, but if we don't have nature, if we're not out in nature, then we're really not thriving. So there's no wonder, again, on this quest, there are really now 30,000 known diseases on the planet. Why? Why are there so many diseases? A lot of it has to do with we are nature. Like if you touch yourself, you feel your body, you just think, I'm nature. I'm more identical to Mother Nature, to the earth that I walk on, to the air that I breathe, than anything else. So there's nothing better to really be the spark that fuels your emotions, how your heart functions, how your body functions, than being in these elements. And so when I learned that in 2008, like to get my biology, my chemistry, and my hormones, and my moods to work, I really need the best possible frequencies in my life on a day-to-day basis. And that has changed not only my life, but all of my patients' lives. Every single person who walks into Santa Fe Soul Health and Healing Center gets this very important message.
You said something that really got me. When we were talking about one of the equipment that you use to get back into cohesive resonance, to get back connected with the Earth's resonance and so on, you said to me, this is a love that I have that's my greatest non-human love. And I thought to myself, wow, I mean, I know that a lot of North Americans have the love affair with their car and whatnot, but, I've never really thought about a non-human love. Why do you have a love for pulsed electromagnetic frequencies?
Well, my personal story is an interesting one. I've been very fortunate. I'm almost 50 years old, but about 6 years ago when I discovered PEMF and magnetic resonance stimulation, at that time most of my life I didn't sleep well, but my sleep issues got increasingly worse. So I was kind of in a critical state in 2008. I had given birth to both my kids, and maybe they were in their 3 and 4 around that time, and I was desperate. I was literally desperate. I was treating 25, 30 patients a day, and I was on my way to go to Bhutan. And I remember before I left, I scheduled five sessions with various doctors because I'm like, I can't figure this out on my own. And so at that time, I also met Dr. John Gray, who told me about this incredible wellness device that he said, in my 30-year career, I've studied everything. This is one of the most important technologies I've ever come across. Well, anyway, 3 months later, I finally bought one of these devices. It was $4,000. He spoke to 800 people at a sold-out audience for our nonprofit at the time. And I finally got it, that after starting to use this myself and using it with my patients, I'm like, there's something to this, because I noticed that I started sleeping and I didn't even know it was to help people with sleep. One of the big reasons that there's so much pain, suffering, and disease in the world has to do with our delicate nature. We have the yin and yang. I'm a doctor of Oriental medicine. We're running our yang, our get up and go. I was running marathons, a full-time practice. I was a mother of 2 young kids. But again, it was most of my life I didn't sleep. And anyway, when I started using this device, just sleeping on it at night, so you only need 8 minutes on this once or twice a day, I had the best sleep of my life in those first 6 weeks of using this intelligent magnetic resonance stimulation. And why I say that, in a non-living, my number one love in a non-human form, I've said this around, when I speak a lot about this technology around the world. I've been to Israel, been to London, but honestly, we all need this technology, because in today's world, because the magnetic field, which is alive and it's a pulse that's so necessary for our life, it's diminished, less than half of what it used to be. So anyway, being in the field restored my health, my yin and yang. I'm still a go-go girl, but my parasympathetic, my yin, my female side is being nourished by being in these healthy frequencies. So fortunately, this is a long answer to your question, but I'm just really grateful that these Russian, German, and Austrian scientists, 20, 30 years ago, they realized that this is critical. If the whole magnetic field of the Earth, which is I call it the holy spark that is so necessary for all of life, not just human life, is diminished. So there's no wonder that so many of us are dealing with pain and chronic fatigue and sleep issues. So how can we mimic Mother Nature? Because nothing is going to be better, in my opinion, than God and nature, right? So let's see how we can bring nature indoors. And that's essentially what this is. This device is, this magnetic resonance stimulation. So I don't know where I'd be without it, because 6 years later, I've traveled again. I've been to 18 countries with this mat. I'm even going to California in a couple hours. I take it everywhere I go. I share it with my people. People want to travel with me. So anyway, when it comes to your health, in terms of all the technologies, there's lots of herbs and supplements. There's the latest, greatest techniques. We still, to get all the goodness of life, our nutrition in our bodies, to get the best out of our exercise, we need to be in these healthy frequencies. So if you get in these fields 8 minutes twice a day, you are staying much healthier.
I totally get that, because we've got some real problems coming on now when we're talking about grounding mats and so on. I was interviewing for the EMF summit that I'm hosting. I was interviewing all of these scientists and electrical engineers and so on that work for the military, and what they were telling me is that after the war, when we started having more and more gadgets and our lifestyle started getting better, what happened was that we had too much electricity on the lines. So on each transformer, if you look at it, there's a wire going down that goes straight into the earth. And that wire is putting in a lot of stray voltage. That stray voltage goes into the house via the plumbing, and the plumbing is what is grounded. When they ground the house, they've grounded it onto the plumbing. So it creates a problem of bringing this stray voltage into our homes when we're using grounding mats and so on. So with the PEMF frequency, with that particular machine that you have, we're bypassing all of that. And I know getting out and being barefoot is so important, but you want to be careful where you're going barefoot, because you don't want to be going barefoot in like a residential area around all of these transformers. You want to be, you know, on the beach and so on. You want to be away from that. So it's kind of tricky. It's a lot trickier than we know. And you're mentioning one benefit, which is sleep. But a lot of people that are suffering from EHS, which is electromagnetic hypersensitivity, and this huge smog that we're in, where we're just being bombarded with this 24 hours a day, it's crazy with all the wireless gadgets and so on. This PEMF device will help that too, won't it?
Oh, absolutely. You know, once you heal your parasympathetic nervous system, because so many people are in what I call the red zone. Like, I have this wonderful handout that when you guys opt into, when you learn more about this technology, I'll be sure to include this. But we're in this overloaded, you know, get up and go, and our body doesn't even know how to relax, go into the deep state of relaxation. So we need rest and digest as much as we need to move and to go in day-to-day life. So this technology, yeah, it bypasses all of that. You do plug it in, but it has this whole Stetzerizer effect. I know you interviewed Dr. Stetzer, which we have these all over our center to help to negate, to be an antidote to all the electromagnetic pollution. So we measure it. I have what's called, and I think if any of you saw that great video, I show you this is a really good Gauss meter. This is about $350. I also have a $4,000 Gauss meter that actually just I want to just touch back, Alison, with the my own personal story. When I was so desperate, I thought maybe I had mold in my house. I brought in a guy named Dan Stye to come into my house because I thought maybe there's a mold, there's something going on. Like, check it out. That was my intuition, but something else. So I heard about electromagnetic pollution 6 years ago, but I'm like, yeah, right. So he had a $4,000 Gauss meter, and after spending an hour and a half in our house, he said, Robyn, your issues are not mold. I'm not picking up any chemicals in your house. What I do know is that you have a water tower above your house, which is like a fourth of a mile up on the hill above our house. He said, what you don't see is that there's all these telecommunication devices all around. I mean, there were, at that time, this was 6 years ago, 14, and I stopped the water guy, you know, this is water for 10,000 people, right? There are more, every single month they're putting more telecommunication devices on that water tower. And so he said, the needle, Robyn, I can't go any higher. I mean, your whole family and your young children is being impacted by this in a big way. So it just started this. That's just like your story, Alison. I did a ton of research. I found out that my whole life I used to sleep with a clock radio right near my head. Like, throughout my college days, certainly my high school days, I always had a clock radio. I've always been a time-oriented person, and I didn't know until I had one of these and used it and checked my whole house how much electromagnetic pollution was coming through gadgets, electric shavers, hair dryers. If you have a microwave, let me just tell you, if you have a microwave oven and it's turned on, if it's just plugged in, it's putting out all kinds of harmful frequencies. That's what finally got me to get rid of my microwave oven, because I thought, well, we never use it, but it was always plugged in. The other thing about your refrigerator, when you put this inside your refrigerator, a Gauss meter, you turn it on, you have no idea, even when you shut your refrigerator, it's irradiating your food. So this device, I've worked with this, I give it out to my clients, a lot of my patients buy it. I said, you've got to electrohygiene your life. So what does that mean? You have to learn to unplug, not just from your phone, but from anything that's plugged within 3 feet or more around your bedroom. People, we need to sleep. That is that's why my number one in a non-human form. I can sleep. I'm a much happier person. I mean, it changed my life to sleep again. I mean, I was running on empty, running marathons and doing all kinds of things, but I wasn't really in the happy zone. I mean, now it's just a non-negotiable. My mat is in my house all the time, so when I travel, I take one. You have like 9 of them at my center. So that's a benefit of coming to Santa Fe Soul. When you get a treatment from me, an IV, an injection, you get 8 minutes of this wonderful technology to up-level all of your cells. And Alison, I just wanted to say, for everyone to think, wow, she's talking about this technology, I still don't really get it. Let me just say this. I want to repeat what I said earlier. You're as healthy as your 70 trillion cells. So if your cells look like voluptuous grapes, right, all of them, there's no way you're going to have disease in that cell. No way. It's just not going to happen. It's measured in millivolts. It's about minus 70 to minus 90 millivolts. So you can actually measure the health of your cells. If your cells look like raisins, which a lot of ours do, that means that you're not detoxifying, you're not absorbing your foods, even the best of foods, very often you're not absorbing. So the purpose of this mat is to create a healthy environment, like 3 feet above, 3 feet below. It just creates this healthy field, just like lying on the beach, and it takes your underfunctioning cells and makes them well, 8 minutes at a time. We got to understand, we are voltage, we are energetic, we are frequency, we are energy. Our electrical system around our body and in our body, that is so important that we keep that hygiene healthy so that our chemistry and our biology work. So something to think about. So we need to be hydrated, we need oxygen, and we need the healthy magnetic field of the earth. Bingo, you feel good on a regular basis. That's a big part of my message, is how to achieve optimal, radiant, and sustainable health. We need that formula.
That's neat, you know, and it's so true. I'm flying to LA too right after this, and I wish I was with you. You know, I wish we were traveling on
travel with me.
Yeah, I could so use that, you know. Instead, I'm going to have like my shungite with me and my silver thread clothing and so on, but it's just not the same. So, you know, to be able to have that on a flight is pretty amazing, because a lot of people have to do travel. And if you have to do travel, you're going to notice now that a lot of the planes have wireless in the plane now.
Yes.
So you're in this encased metal tube, and you've got all this wireless bouncing around at you. I mean, it's insane. It's so tough. And
okay, I'm going to ask you this question, Alison.
Yes, sure.
Your vibrant secret health pearl for all of you to know. I'm going to ask you, so when do you think, is it healthier to fly during the day or at night?
I think it's healthier to fly at night.
You are the first person, honestly, that has gotten that answer right. It's really true, because all the radiation that comes from the sun and being up at 30,000 feet, all that solar radiation that we're getting deeply impacts us. So when you fly, certainly when you're able, make sure your shield, your window shield is down. So it is much better for pilots, everybody flying, the flight attendants, to fly at night. So there's certain people that are hyper electro-hypersensitive, like you talked about. That's a whole new category that the World Health Organization recognizes. We're not crazy. And that really was my issue. I was electro-hypersensitive. I couldn't walk into Starbucks without feeling dizzy. Being on planes was ghastly for me. I felt horrible. And what's so cool, Alison, the company that I've been working with out of Germany, Swiss Bionic, their most recent PEMF device just came out in August, and it's called the Omnium One. So when you go to our page that we created for your show, you'll be able to see that. And what's fantastic about this one, especially someone who travels a lot like I do, you can carry the brain of this device. With the cool thing about it, it's the only PEMF device in the entire world that's run by an Android iPad. And so when I take my iPad, which controls the smaller mat, then I am in a healthy field. So I just turn it on because it's charged up. I put it on my body, and so when I go on a 2 or 3 hour flight, I get off the flight and I still feel great, which is really unheard of. So this is new as of August of this year, and this is why it's perfect timing that we're having this conversation, Alison.
Yep. Does it have a battery?
Well, as long as the iPad is charged up, that's all you need. So you get a good 4.5 hours. And it's so amazing, because I get off the plane and I feel energized, because that whole time, I don't even need it on the whole time. I only need it on for 8, 16, or 24 minutes. Because again, you get to understand that your cells are like batteries. When you have low energy, low voltage, it's a dim light. But when you have high energy and high voltage, it's like a dark, a healthy light, a green light. So you know your batteries are restored. and to get off an airplane with healthy cells, it's amazing. So that's going to, honestly, I just feel that when my book on travel and health comes out, it's hopefully going to come out in early 2015, The Healthy Traveler's Guide. I hope that I really will start a movement that every single pilot, every single airplane will start being equipped with this technology, so we don't have to be so put our bodies in jeopardy, because people get inflamed, they get swollen ankles, they get their circulation is shut down when you're in airplanes. Not only are you breathing in toxic air, but you're all that Wi-Fi and just what the pilots are just subjected their bodies to. I treat a lot of pilots, so I know what the future holds for a lot of them. I do.
Yeah, so you're not just dealing with patients, dealing with flying and so on. What type of uses are you seeing for the PEMF device in your practice?
Okay, well, so every day, everybody who comes in for an acupuncture treatment, if think about this, for any of you that are doctors, that are practitioners, naturopathic doctors, chiropractors, if you get your patient on the mat for 8 minutes, you take someone who's got underfunctioning cells and you bring them up to a much higher, healthier voltage, your acupuncture treatment, your adjustments are going to hold better. If you give them a massage, like a lot of massage therapists have these on their tables too, the patient gets that deep rest that many of us are not getting. So if I'm doing an IV, like say I do a lot of vitamin C drips, I do Myers cocktails, which are great if you're going to get on an airplane tomorrow, or if you're the first signs of the flu or a sore throat. The bioavailability of that getting into the body is much greater when the cells are healthier. And so I have to tell you, Alison, when I first learned about this technology, the company will always say, you are the toughest person to convince, Robyn. Like, you are unbelievable. And it's true, because as a doctor for all these years, I'm inundated with the next greatest supplement, company, gadget. You hear, and you name it, you've heard of it. It's come across my table. So I'm very careful what I will bring out in such a big way to my clientele and to all the practitioners that work here. So I can say confidently, for 6 years, I've never had a problem with it. I've never had someone get hurt. It's really important that you do get hydrated, because again, that's how our cells and our voltage work. Hydration and certainly minerals. I've also been a keynote speaker at the Extraordinary Tesla Technology Conference for like 3 years in a row. I've actually spoken 4 years, because they know that this message needs to get around the world, and that everyone needs to bring this nature indoors, because we're not getting it in the way that we need it to stay healthy. And I've never had one scientist, one inventor, anyone to say, Robyn, this does not work. And Tesla is his fame is coming later in life, but to me, he's the most amazing genius of all time, because in somebody who greatly influenced Einstein and many others, many of the energy healers of today were influenced by Tesla. And what's in these mats are 6 Tesla coils. The full body mat has 6 Tesla coils. In those coils, so when you're lying on that mat for 8 minutes, 0.5 to 25 hertz. I mean, it basically is mimicking nature. And when you turn on this mag handy, this measures, again, electromagnetic pollution and healthy magnetic fields. So I'm just going to let you all know, because you'll never forget this. And when I go into grade schools, I love getting this message into the younger population too. So it's measuring electromagnetic fields, and I want you to hear what comes out of your laptop computer. Can you hear that, Alison? How can you not?
Ouch.
It's a hissing, static field, especially when you get your hands on the keyboard. So I just want to tell you that one of the most important things for all of us that use our computers on a regular basis, laptops, it's best to not have it plugged in. It's much better. You're going to get less radiation that way. So there are baby monitors are really horrible, like so sad. Like so many kids with babies with lots of health issues. It has a lot to do with baby monitors being stuck onto their cribs, and very often a crib could be near a wall that you can't see all the electrical panels that are coming from maybe something in another room. But it's alarming. So it's no wonder that babies and people of all ages are having trouble sleeping, or even if they think they're sleeping, they're not getting the deep REM sleep that's so necessary for our body and for our growth factors, for all of it. And so what they've seen with these devices, when you're in this field, with the healthy field of earthing, like being near the ocean, or if you're on one of the PEMF devices, what it's doing is increasing stem cells. So we know that stem cells are really important for aging, right, Alison?
Oh my God, yes.
Yes, if you have a lot of healthy stem cells in your body, you age really beautifully. Telomeres, as we age, our telomeres shorten. So when you're in a healthy field on a regular basis, your telomeres grow beautifully. I'm going to use that word again, but they just grow normally and they don't shorten. Dr. Norm Shiley is one of my heroes. He's the father of complementary medicine. He is a big proponent of PEMF technology also. So stem cells, telomeres, it increases cell metabolism. So as we learned in biology class, we have to produce energy in our mitochondria. When our cells look like raisins, it's a tough game. It's like it's hard to get that energy into your body to even feel good. So many people in the world just simply don't feel good. So it's also the production of nitric oxide. So many people have sexual dysfunction. And nitric oxide is really important to feel good. So just getting in this field for 8 minutes at a time, it increases your nitric oxide. And one thing I haven't told you, Alison, I've got the mat on right now.
Yeah, well, we have a question about that, actually.
Yeah, I will show you. I'm going to just show you just for a second what I'm sitting on.
Yeah, because Joy Truscott from South Africa, she wants to know what it looks like, what the brain is like, and so on. So the device, if you can explain the device to us, and she wants to know if it's available in South Africa as well.
Yeah, if you when you go to the page that you've created that will direct you all to, you can, once you opt in, I'll give you all the information, especially what I promised is that thermometer handout. But yes, if you can certainly purchase one through this call today, and it's very simple. But can you see that? What I'm doing there?
How wide is it? How thick is it?
This is not the Omnium one. But okay.
Like turn it sideways so I can see how deep it is.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry. There.
Okay. So it's like a motor.
And when I travel with it, it's about 22 pounds, and I don't carry it on. I can take my brain, because this is really what you're paying for. This is the genius. It's run by an SD card, all the different applications, and you have a choice. If you can't really, there's three different applications. This is the full body mat. This is the smaller pad. This is the one, again, I just want to let you know that I just spoke at the if you guys know of bulletproof.com. They're called the Bulletproof Conference, Bulletproof Biohacking Conference. I'm a major biohacker, and I can say with all the other things that, in addition to this mat, this is one of the best things you can do to upregulate your body on a day-to-day basis. So there's a full body mat, a probe, and a smaller mat. And the smaller mat, this is what this is right here. Can you see it? We call it the kidney-shaped pad. This has 2 Tesla coils in it. The bigger mat has 6 Tesla coils. And so for all my men that own it, that have prostate issues or bladder issues in women, or anybody who sits at the computer a lot, like many of us do, if you're in this field, again, you're creating this healthy voltage. And so instead of that static energy that you heard, that was that piercing static energy, like any halogen light, any outlet, that's what it sounds like. What this puts out is a pulsating electromagnetic field, 0.5 to 25 hertz. A cell phone is 900 megahertz. Wi-Fi is off the charts. Deck phones, if you have one, you've got to throw it away today. Please get rid of your microwave ovens. Unplug everything possible, again, in your bedroom. But for that matter, if you're not using certain appliances, just unplug them, because very often they're still putting out some type of radiation. Okay, so again, like I mentioned, you only need 8 minutes for the full body mat, and here I'm pushing the start. So right now, as this is turned on, I'm getting the healthy frequencies of this mat on my lap, or I can sit on it, or people with chronic back pain, that's another use. You asked me what the other uses are of this, and I'm just going to show you. I'm farther away from my... I just want you guys to hear what's coming out of this. You hear that? Zzz, zzz, zzz.
And it's very quiet compared to the laptop.
But it's pulsating, and it pauses. So it goes. So I'm getting that. If I put it really much closer to it, you can hear it even more. Can you hear that? A little bit?
Yeah, a little, but not a lot.
Bring it closer.
Right.
I just want you to hear that it's a pulsating. This is what whales, dolphins, bees, all the two-legged, all the winged beings and winged energies and in the world. This is what they like. Now, let me show you what the opposite of that is this.
It just hurts listening to that one.
Yes.
And knowing I'm surrounded by two computers right now, you know.
Yes, exactly. So, but I just want to repeat that again. When we think about all of life, plants, birds, whales, dolphins, like we know a lot of whales are beaching, dolphins are dying. 25,000 species are dying a year right now. 25,000, and a lot of it has to do with the magnetic field of the Earth that used to be measured at about 120 microtesla is now about 60. So we're all struggling a little bit more. This is why self-care is more important now than ever before. You don't want to compromise. You want to eat organic foods. You want to exercise because it's really important to get into this pulsed electromagnetic field of the Earth. You need to move. Really, really key. I have to tell you that when your cells are healthy, it's hard to be in a bad mood because on this, the circle, when you think about every cell of your body, the environment, the cell wall, there's all these neuropeptides, and when your cells are like raisins, it's hard to even feel good because you're not turning on the good mood peptides that are necessary for overall good health and happiness.
If a lot of people are addicted to sugar and so on, will this device help bring back a balance with the insulin and the leptin intake and so on?
Absolutely, and I do know that you interviewed Magda Havas. Honestly, for all of you listening, she's really one of the top experts in the world on electromagnetic pollution. So why are we having this obesity, diabetes, also known as diabesity epidemic among our children? Because there's Wi-Fi in all of our kids' schools, right, across the country, except it's banned in certain areas in Canada and France. That's what I know so far. So when you think about being in these unhealthy frequencies on a regular basis, in your home, the average American, 95% of their entire life is indoors now. It's not surprising because we're in these frequencies. Like if you think about that hissing noise, if you're in those frequencies, your cells are not designed for artificial frequencies like that. They're designed for that pulsating natural frequencies, 0.5 to 25 hertz. So what happens is that when you eat bad food, lots of sugar and just any type of processed food for that matter, your body wants nature, you put crap into it, you're not going to get good results. So a lot of times the body it stays confused. So the body does not detoxify sugars, it does not break down proteins properly or fats, and it just leaves us with poor metabolism. Our mitochondria are not working properly, so our blood sugar, which is essential, we're not producing insulin to bring down our blood sugar in a healthy manner. So when your cells are like grapes, you are definitely processing sugar in a much better way than when your cells are like raisins. So yes, it will help you. It will absolutely help you balance your sugar and all of your hormones. I mean, a lot of us have too much cortisol. Again, that's that red zone where we're just driving ourselves. And we're in the red zone, our bodies are not functioning very well. So what we need is to move from red to yellow into the green, the natural frequencies of the earth. And when we're in those fields on a day-to-day basis, 8 minutes twice a day, that makes everything work better.
It's so simple, too. 8 minutes twice a day. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I know people that go and work out in the gym for an hour every day, and they're just, like worn out and trying to fit everything in.
Right.
It's so simple.
Right.
You have a program where you can use it all night long as well?
You don't need to. You never need to, again, because once your cells are charged up, it only takes a minimum of 8 minutes. I have to say my real wired and tired people who are just, they can't sleep because they're so charged up, I say go for 16 or 24 minutes. That's even better. But I'm glad you brought up exercise. A lot of people Also because of these issues being in these artificial fields all the time. Gyms, treadmills, everything is plugged in, right? I mean, when I take my Gauss meter on a treadmill, the panel, it's like off the charts. Every car, off the charts. The more electrical your car is, the more electromagnetic pollution you're getting. But getting back to exercise, a lot of times exercise, we stress our bodies, we produce too much lactic acid. So it helps to flush the lactic acid out of your body. So therefore, every time you're on the mat, 8 minutes at a time, you're helping to alkalinize your system, which is key, as you know. That's another biohacking secret. We want to stay alkaline and not so acidic. So this is another way just to naturally, just lying on it, 8 minutes a couple times a day will help to alkalinize your system.
Okay, we have a lot of kids that are going to schools right now that have wireless in them and have G4 wireless systems going on. And these kids, a lot of these kids, some of them are bleeding from their ears and bleeding from their nose. In Simcoe County, Ontario, they had to put they were supposed to put a pacemaker in one child, and a whole bunch of them had heart attacks and so on. So we have children now having heart attacks, having heart failure, and so on. What is going on with that? And can this help children? Is this safe for children to use as well?
That's a great question. I'm just showing people I love showing a demonstration too with your iPhone, what's happening and the frequency that's putting out. So the proximity, and I know also another great speaker that you brought to the EMF Summit, Louise Gittleman. I mean, she wrote a book called Zapped, which is an excellent book. And she got a parotid tumor. Let me just tell you all that there's a 25% increase in brain cancer. So you can imagine what our kids are set up for. Yes, palpitations, sleeplessness. They're not digesting foods very well. I just want to tell you, I have, when my kids were in elementary school, I went to their career day. I was one of the speakers, and to have in that classroom 2 different times. When I asked these kids, how many of you are not sleeping, to have more than half the class raise their hand, that just tells you that kids really are suffering. And then you look around the room, and at least a third of them already are dealing with obesity issues. So this is not just something you read in one report, oh, well, maybe this is happening, but it is across the board. Dr. Ludwig, many of you are probably seasoned, you know a lot about this topic, or you're going to certainly know a lot more after this discussion today, but Dr. Ludwig is famous now for saying, not even famous, but in most every integrated doctor agrees, this is the first generation of children that's not expected to outlive their parents because of the levels of toxicity in our world and because of the artificial frequencies that we're living in more and more. I didn't grow up with Wi-Fi and all of these cell towers everywhere. And I don't know if you probably know this, Alison, but I want everyone listening to know that you can find out what's close to your house by going to www.antennasearch.com. That's antennasearch, that's one word, .com. And then you put in your address, and you will be blown away by what's right in your neighborhood that you may never know. My building here at Santa Fe Soul, I've done everything possible to electrosanitize it because there's not one electro-hypersensitive person that can't walk into our center. Think about it. I work with needles. That's electrical, right? And if I'm in all this Wi-Fi, how effective is my acupuncture going to be, right? So it's almost like you're trying to do something good, but you're also in a field that's not conducive to health, and people don't sustain the goodness of their treatments. So around my building, last I checked, maybe 5 months ago, there was like 200 cell towers within 4 miles of the center. 200. So it just goes to show, now there's smart meters, they're all over the place. I mean, they will silently just sweep your neighborhood, overnight, and put these devices near your house. So it's an education, and that's why, Alison, I'm just grateful for you to have the first EMF Summit ever, and to bring in these amazing speakers and to educate the world. And you're talking about our children. Children are our future, right? And
can they use the device? Can they use the pulsed electromagnetic frequency? Can children use that? Do your kids use it?
Oh, absolutely, they do. They do. Also, when they're the sound and light part, that helps to, because a lot of us can't get out of the beta. We're firing our brain too fast, right? And we don't get enough theta delta, which is like the feel good. Like you're in the flow when you're in theta. The more theta you get, the better you feel. So the brain part and the body part. So using the mat and using the sound and light together is a phenomenal combination. So yes, it's very, very safe for children, safe for babies. There are a lot of PEMF babies out there in the world because it certainly helps. It just helps children go through their growth process. It's nothing better for growing pains. When my kids had growing pains, both my 13 and 15-year-old children now, if they get injured in soccer, they're on the mat, quickly. My husband, he was so dubious when I first got it. He's like, "Oh gosh, Robyn, you're just getting another gadget. This is an expensive one, $4,000 at the time." And he ended up using the probe on he had 2 rotary cuff tears, just testing it with, he would wrap it around, he would put the probe on his shoulder and wrap it with Coban tape and sit on his computer and work for hours on end. And again, just when the smaller pillow you can use as long as you want because it's a different waveform for pain and inflammation. And he completely rehabbed without having to have surgery by using PEMF.
Wow.
And if you go to PMFglobal.com, and you go to the testimonials there, it is beyond amazing what this has done for people. I just got a letter from somebody yesterday. She wants me to write a letter to help somebody who has, she basically, it's solved her problem and wants her insurance company to cover it. Let's get this covered by insurances. Honestly, I'd love to see every airport have these, like a salon, like 15 of them lined up so everybody can get their 8-minute fix after they get off an airplane. So there's a lot of technology around the corner, but PEMF is really powerful. It's incredible. I also have a very high-end device, $25,000 PEMF. It's really great for when I do my injections. Like I did 2 platelet-rich plasma injections today, and I always give my patients 3 minutes of the high-end PEMF. So it's like this machine on steroids, but it's very, very effective. And again, if people worry about cancer, they worry about an autoimmune disease, they worry about dementia. Their dementia and Alzheimer's, it's at an all-time high rate right now. 40-year-olds are being diagnosed with Alzheimer's. It's a sugar issue. It's a cellular issue. It's, again, our cells are just inflamed on a regular basis. So if you want healthy children, to me, if people are going to spend $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 on a car, you're going to spend $300,000 to $500,000 on a new home. Why not make this most important investment in your cells and consider having one of these in your home 24/7. Healthcare on a weekend. That's what I call it. It's like bringing the healthcare revolution into your homes. Because what's really cool about the Omnium One, the newest one, is you can on your iPod, you can have a water app reminding you to drink your 8 glasses of water. There are apps that this company is coming out with that's going to measure your blood pressure and your blood sugar. How cool is that? Why wait to end up with a storm going on in your body that you end up in the emergency room? Honestly, I really feel, I say this is for a woman who's treated thousands of people, at least 80,000 in my career. People do not have to get sick. And it's why I started the online program called the Self-Care Revolution. You don't have to get sick if you take care of yourself, but you need to practice it in a whole different way than we did even 5 years ago. And electrohygiene, like really restoring a healthy electrical nature around your body on a regular basis, is primary. That's like the first thing you do. Because again, I have tons of people who walk in here, I eat organic food all the time, I exercise, I do my yoga, I still feel like shit. Seriously. And I say, well, it's probably because you're indoors too much. You're not getting enough of the healthy frequencies. So it's going, at some point or another, it's just going to be like, we can't live without it. It's short of living with like Schumann resonance like the astronauts wear, which is really true. As you know, Alison, there are places in the world, like in Sweden, there are places where there are scientists that are in these fields that are just so sick that they can't live without being in a field around their body 24/7. There's Schumann resonance.
Yeah, I love that Schumann resonance. And I've even been given music and so on that takes that Schumann resonance and just beams it out through the music and so on. It's giving that frequency. which is fantastic. I would like you to walk people through. So if anybody wants to look at your vibranthealthsecrets.com/Robyn, and maybe you can describe what you have here, what you've prepared for us, because it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of stuff here that you can walk us through and talk to us about it.
Okay, so in terms of if you decide that, again, I haven't found anything better for sleep, for metabolism, for proper digestion. Like putting that pad on your stomach is like 200 enzymes. I mean, seriously, when you get your cells healthy, you don't have to rely on taking a ton of supplements on a regular basis. So just again, to simplify what I've shared with you and to really understand PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic field technology, it is a frequencies that mimic Mother Nature. And what we're doing here, what I'm sharing with you, is something that you can bring into your home, knowing that all you have to do is use it 8 minutes twice a day. If you're going to brush your teeth twice a day and take care of that part of your hygiene, why not think about the electrical nature of your body to be in that field 8 minutes minimum twice a day? And if you're athletic, like a lot of my athletes, they love it. You get on that mat 8 minutes before your exercise, get on it 8 minutes after, you'll heal much faster. It's simple as, again, this is, unfortunately, when I spoke at the Biohack Bulletproof Conference, there were so many, imagine the crowd. I mean, a lot of amazing authors. There are a lot of people who are really care about their health. We had 6 of these mats, one after another, that all the participants, a couple hundred people, went through and had their 8-minute fix. There were some of these biohackers that had their heart rate variability. If anyone knows what that is, there's an app for heart rate variability. They would set it on their lap, and they would test themselves before and after, and they would see that what was created was resonance. So resonance, again, it's like when all of your cells look like healthy grapes as opposed to raisins, and it would just create coherence in the heart. I mean, so coherence as opposed to dissonance, like the static energy that you heard from my Gauss meter. So the antidote to that is coherence. And when you live in a coherent state, you are blissed out pretty much. You are very high functioning. So the biohackers, the bulletproof people, they want to be high performing athletes. They want to be high performing in their work every day. Don't you? You're listening to this talk because you know that you've been struggling and you want to find something that's really going to make a shift. So what else can I tell you?
Okay, what about, I have a question that comes to mind. What about a chef? Okay, we have a Chef Dennis Litley, so he has to stand a lot of times. So he's standing. What about people that are working standing? Can they stand on the mat?
You could. You definitely, absolutely, you could do that. On the smaller pad that I showed you, that would be really great. You could actually just have that at the bottom of your feet when you're standing. But there's a lot of movement, of course, with a chef is going from place to place, but still, when you only need it for 8 minutes. So what I would recommend, and since you're listening live, is I would get it on at 8 minutes before your shift, and certainly after your shift, and that will help you, because when you stand, that's really tough. As much as people who sit a lot, people who stand a lot, that's tough on your body. So the mat would be awesome. But again, you don't necessarily have to stand on it while you're working. It's best to just get your cells upregulated for 8 minutes, so you don't need it after that.
Nice. Now, Mike Broadwell is watching today, and Fiona, his love of his life, his soulmate, she went through extraordinary back problems and back pain and back issues. Now, she's done a heck of a lot to recover and so on. Would this keep people who have back issues, would this help them with that?
Definitely. It definitely keeps, because with increased stem cells, telomeres, you're really helping. If your cells are again looking like grapes on a more regular basis, that's bringing your inflammatory markers down. And we see it again and again that people do with regular use of this. Like inflammatory markers could be anything from hemoglobin A1C, which is measuring your mean blood sugar, your homocysteine and your C-reactive protein. All those numbers go down. Your protein, your total protein, and how you're absorbing your protein is improved. So you have to look at it's like looking at the whole body. This is holistic medicine. When you're on the full body mat, you're affecting, impacting every single cell in your body. It's bringing the power of nature into your system 8 minutes at a time. So yes, it definitely helps people as long as they use it. You know, I just gave a talk here, and I invited a lot of my clients and friends. And it's interesting because when people start feeling good, they can slack off a little bit. And it's just a reminder, again, that for the rest of your life, you're always going to need nature, right? And you're not going to get enough of it. Most of us do not. It's just the way it is. And with all the competing frequencies, like you brought up, Alison, all the stuff that's even walking on the earth barefoot, let alone pesticides and all the junk that's put into our fresh grass outside. That is just a scary thing in itself. Like, I remember, this is a funny story, but I was speaking to a couple hundred people at the Tesla conference, and I went running. This is in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And I thought, I'm just going to earth. This is my message today. I'm going to earth. And I found a nice patch of green grass in front of this building. And I literally got up and I itched. I mean, my whole body broke out because God only knows I should have been smart enough. Because it was like kind of wet grass, which is even better. Like, as you know, if it's wet grass, like it's even more, the electrical frequencies, the positive electrical frequencies after a rainstorm, there's nothing better than being in those negative ions. Anyway, don't rely on just any grass or go barefoot on the grass because a lot of it is toxic.
It's so true. And then if we look at what's happening with chemtrails, that's a whole nother conversation. But, you know, they are spraying nanoparticles of aluminum, barium, strontium, lead, you know, in our skies. Well, what goes up must come down. So that's coming down as well. So this machine is very good in that way. But, you know, I have like a little kind of a part of me that freaks out a little bit about the idea of having to have an Android pad, tablet, or phone, you know, in order to use this. Because does that mean that I have to be online with it? I have to be, you know, having all of this negative pulse electromagnetic radiation in order to run it?
Well, what I can tell you is that when you take a Mag Handy and you put it on, you are definitely not getting the sound that you heard. You are getting, so even if you're in, like Wi-Fi's in this building, but if I have it turned on, my mat, like I had, like for a lot of the time that I've been sitting here, I've been protecting my body while I've been in front of this computer. You just have to see it, Alison. If you can look on your own phone, you can actually download an app that's a Gauss meter. So it was really cool at the biohacking conference that we could show all of these biohackers like what was coming out of the mat. They're like, this is the coolest thing. And they would come back 2 or 3 times like, wow, like this is creating much more coherence in my heart. So heart rate variability, as we get older, it becomes much more static, you know, and that's not very healthy for us. So if you have a healthy heart, you know, as you know, our heart is like 60 times stronger than our brain. So if we have a healthy heart, you know, it's amazing how we feel day to day.
Yeah, I mean, really, so many things changed for me when I started to become EHS, and I was in this building, and you're talking about, you know, things with all those towers that you had, all the antennas that you had behind the water tower that you couldn't see, that were just bombarding you, and it was putting the meter right off the map. Well, the same thing was happening in my apartment where I was sleeping. In my sleeping area, it was over 2,000. And it was just, you know, it was so bad. Right now, my sleeping area is 1. So,
that's so great.
Yeah, it's a completely different thing. But I had to move immediately and still pay a month and 3/4 rent while I got out of there. And then I went to a home of friends and recovered for a few months and then looked for a place. So it took a lot of time. It takes a lot of energy and a lot of time to do that. And it's easier to use one of these devices and, you know, get the Omnium One and protect yourself before you become electromagnetically sensitive, because it's harder to turn it back once it's happened. And it's not Luddites that it's happening to, as Dr. Magda has pointed out. You know, it's happening to people that were early adopters or people that have been using computers for a long time and all this type of stuff. These are the people that are having such high exposures a lot of the time and that are getting ill. So things are changing. things are changing extremely, you know. So Ole Johansson, who's somebody that I'll be interviewing on the EMF Summit, one of the things that he's done, he's responsible for Sweden recognizing EHS as a disability, which is electromagnetic hypersensitivity. And they call it hypersensitivity not because people are hyper that have it, but because every single person is being affected, everyone across the board. So the interesting thing is that this is allowing it to regulate itself. You know, everyone's being affected, but everyone doesn't know it. Hypersensitive people do know it. And so what Robyn has for us is something that is going to help solve the problem. So I think that this is absolutely fantastic. I really appreciate your time so much with us. And I'd like to know too, you know, I'm thinking, I'm sad in a way because there's so much more information that we need to know. There's just so many uses for this, and I feel that we haven't really scratched the surface of you know, there's so much.
We have the link to the page because we created a fabulous page for your show, Alison, that will show you what PEMF, I mean, really, we 6 years of working with this technology, we've really condensed it into like one page. And especially once you opt in, you're going to get some great information. You can download an order form. You can call us. We gave you that phone number to call us directly. That's how much we're committed to this, getting this technology out over the world. But also the shields. There's the PEMF, but we also have a company where you can get the BioShields. Like I always have something that I'm wearing close to my body to protect me. So there's a lot of cool things there. So again, if you feel somewhat overwhelmed after this talk, just go to that page and you're going to be like, oh my God, I know what resonance means. We give you this really cool thing that shows what resonance really looks like and feels like, and also to show you what the cells, like the live blood cell analysis, what cells look like when you're under the influence of electromagnetic pollution on a regular basis. So the raising grape theory, you'll see it. Honestly, I did this on hundreds and hundreds of people, and I was so blown away by what 8 minutes does to your cells. And again, remember, healing is voltage, so after you get 6 good hours, doesn't mean you're set for life, right? You need to keep feeding that healthy voltage of our body. So healing is healthy voltage, healthy frequencies. So spend a lot of time on that page and just take it all in, really get it. Think about
there's going to be people listening to this as well that are going to be listening via audio instead of just the visuals.
Okay.
And it's yourvibranthealthsecrets.com/Robyn. So that's yourvibranthealthsecrets.com/ROBYN. So one more time, yourvibranthealthsecrets.com/ROBYN. Go there, check it out. I mean, this is something that is going to be good for your whole family. It's going to be something that you're going to use for your whole life. So if you have an injury and you're recovering from the injury, that's fine, but you're still going to want to use this to help counteract some of the stress that's happening on a cellular level. And I've had a wonderful description of the difference between the stress we feel as a body, as a person, and the stress we feel as a cell.
Right.
Different stresses, and it's really serious stuff that's happening. There's serious shit going down. And you know, when we're talking about pandemics like Ebola and things like that, it's really important for us to have ourself in prime optimal immune system, because we can recover, we can protect ourselves from these things. So I think that's just absolutely critically important. Do you have like a takeaway for us, something that you feel is the most important thing, that message that you'd like from everything we've talked about for our listening audience, our viewing audience?
It's such an important message. I started a movement, right? The Self-Care Revolution, www.jointheselfcarerevolution.com. So my message to you, I'm speaking to each of you individually, is to really honor this vessel, your body. I mean, you matter. You are invaluable. So hydrate, minerals, eat the best possible food that nature provides. Get outdoors as much as possible. And more than anything, just know, we always talk about the importance of love. You know, when you feel good, everyone wants to be around you. You just know that healing is voltage, so create the healthiest possible energy exchange in your body, because that's when you're operating from love, when you feel good. That's my message. And just know that if you're interested in this, again, you can actually work with us directly. You can actually call us. We are a voice, not just an answering machine, to help you if you get one of these, that we can support you through it, because it's very easy to use. But you have support with my staff here, rather than just buying anything random online. Again, you want to go to a reputable source that's like us, that we've been working with this system for 6 years. And just bless you. Sending you lots of love.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you very, very much for your time. And thank you, everyone, for being here with us. You know, if it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to do the work that we love so much. So I thank you incredibly, and I look forward to seeing more of you and giving you more fantastic information. Love to everyone.
Love to everyone.